everyone, welcome to Betting Sports Better. I'm your host of Sports Boss. Great week. We had a lot of action going on this week. We gave out 5 plays on the show last week. We won more than we lost. A lot of interesting games, a lot of neat college matchups, a lot of close games in the NFL. 9 games landed within a 1-score difference. 9 games, that means 6 points or less was the difference of the outcome. A lot of tight games. A lot of contenders and pretenders were put on the seats this week. College, we had about 6 teams in the top 10 get knocked out from losses. We had a couple teams move up. I got a lot of energy right now because coming on the show, Zach the Max here. Stay tuned. Remember, tune in to win, and I'm going to fade out.
What's up, everybody? It's Zach here. I'm here to recap about 6 games from past week. This past week of NFL football was a tough, hard-nosed week of football. Anyway, kicking it off, we got Bucs and Chiefs, a rematch from a Super Bowl 2 years ago. Brady versus Mahomes, the old GOAT versus the young GOAT. Patrick Mahomes is proving that without Tyreek Hill, this offense will be just as dynamic. No disrespect to the GOAT, to Tyreek Hill. The dude brings speed and just another dimension to any NFL offense, but Patrick Mahomes is keeping this thing interesting. He kept the Bucs' leading defense off balance the entire game and carving them up. However, don't count them out because getting your all-pro weapons back from Tom Brady will make his life feel a little bit easier so he can just relax, in the words of Aaron Rodgers. And plus, if Tom Brady steps on that field, he's never out of it. He's still always going to be in Super Bowl contention. I think in the past couple of years, he's started 2-2 with his teams. He's gone to the Super Bowl 4 times out of those. Moving on to the Jags versus the Eagles. You've got 2 teams who are up and coming. Jalen Hurts with his Batman routine. He's got his Robins on the outside. That team is probably looking the most complete team in football right now. No disrespect to the Bills. However, the Jacksonville and Doug Peterson, he's got Philly's number. He drafted about half of those players on that team, so he knows exactly what his teams in Jacksonville is going to go up against. However, the turnover battle has to be won. The good teams can prove that they can overcome turnovers, overcome injuries in order to advance to the Super Bowl, just like the Buffalo Bills. I don't think there's a team more ravaged by injuries right now, especially to that secondary. Josh Allen and company is proving that they can overcome whatever the world throws their way. They were able to outmatch the Ravens this week in just another tough-nosed battle between 2 upper-class teams of the AFC. No disrespect to Lamar Jackson, but he needs himself a number 1 wide receiver. I like his crew of receivers on the outside. They bring in dynamic, diverse skill sets. However, he needs a number 1 guy. He just needs a dude to be able to rely on. He can do it all himself, but he shouldn't be able to do it all himself. He will run himself into the ground very quickly. And for Ravens fans, you don't want that, especially in the midst of a contract year. Heading on to the next game, the Cardinals versus the Panthers. The Cardinals are going after Baker Mayfield. The Cardinals offense, Kyler Murray and that team is starting to finally settle into their own and look a little bit more comfortable as they maneuver that offense through this NFC gauntlet of teams they've got upcoming. However, Baker Mayfield, I'm sorry, bud, I don't think you're the answer for the Panthers right now. And Panthers fan, start looking ahead to the draft. Baker Mayfield's not getting it done for you. Sam Darnold's returning for injuries. You've got the 1st and 3rd picks from that 2018 draft. It's just not working. Hopefully, able to save your season, look forward to the draft and bubble wrap Christian McCaffrey. I said it last week. I'll say it again. Keep that dude safe. He is your only hope at winning. For Cardinals fans, you're about to get DeAndre Hopkins back in a couple weeks. So look forward to that, and your team should be just A-okay as they maneuver out through the NFC West. Heading on to the Raiders. Congrats, my friends. You have finally got your first win of the season, and it's even better over a division rival. You've been able to keep those Broncos, even though you gave up the most points the Broncos have scored all season long, you outclassed them. And that's what you're going to have to do each step of this season upcoming. So even though you're sitting at 1-3, don't lose the faith. And a special shout out to one of my close buddies, Raiders John. You got your win, and you were telling me all this week, feed Josh Jacobs the ball. 144 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, and that dude definitely carried you to victory. Moving on. This game was not anticipated to be quite the barn burner everyone thought it was, but my Lions went toe-to-toe with the Seattle Seahawks and put up another unique score in the gauntlets of NFL history, 48-45. Who would have saw this coming? I didn't. Jared Goff and Geno Smith combined for video game-like numbers. These dudes were just balling out left and right, especially for Jared Goff. You're not the reason this team is losing. It's the defense. They were non-existent. I love Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator. I love Aiden Hutchinson and Rodrigo out there in the middle of the defense, but you guys aren't just getting it done. You've got to lock it in and play sound, fundamental football. You made Geno Smith look like Tom Brady. That's not good. Get it together. Anyway, moving forward, the Lions, You're about to get a couple players back. You're going to get DeAndre Swift back. You're going to get DJ Chark back. You're going to get Amon-Ra St. Brown, the sun god, back. And just think, you still have Jamison Williams, who hasn't stepped on the field for you yet. He's coming back, and it's going to be an absolutely explosive offense. Through 4 weeks of the season so far, you've put your names up there with a very unique class of NFL teams in recent history. You've now matched 2019 Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram. You are now starting to reach that 2000 Rams squad with, I think you may have heard of Kurt Warner and Marshall Faulk, both Hall of Famers. You're putting yourself in an elite category of an offense. That's a great place to be. Defense, you have given up the most points, second to none, rather than, I hate to say it, and it pains me to say it, the 2008 0-16 Lions. That's not good company. It's your own ghost. It's your own ghost in the closet. Get rid of it. But anyway, guys, keep tuned. We're having an exciting week of football upcoming. We're going to have some more tough nose games in the week ahead. Stay tuned. And if you're at a loss, bet with the sports boss.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Betting Sports Better. I'm your host, the Sports Boss. We've got Zach the Mac in the studio. He's going to go over some of the college games last week that stood out to him, and then we'll recap some of the college games coming up on this Saturday. Right now, I'm going to turn it over to Zach the Mac.
It was an exciting week of college and NFL. That Missouri-Georgia game, that was a tough-fought game. Be on the lookout. Georgia got a little lackadaisical. They're overlooking their opponents, but you can't do that when you're the top dog. No pun intended and fully pun intended. They can't overlook Missouri, who came in and brought the guns. Defense kept Stetson Bennett in check. However, Stetson Bennett took over that game and showed why he is keeping his name in that Heisman conversation.
Nice. Yeah, when I was watching that game, I had somebody call me and say, man, Zach the Mac was right on the money with this Missouri-Georgia game. I had a different game on, and when I turned it on, I saw exactly what you were talking about, how scrappy Missouri was, and, there's no quit in them. The fight just went on. But unfortunately, Georgia is who they are for a reason. The quarterback is, I think, a Heisman front runner. Moving on to this Saturday, what's your opinion on Tennessee going into LSU at noon? LSU's getting 2.5, Zach.
It's going to be an exciting game. Tennessee has experienced a resurgence of their program amidst of everything they've been dealing with in the past couple of years. But look out for transfer portal hero Hendon Hooker. He had a bit of a rough spot down at Virginia Tech, but transferring to Tennessee, he went through that uncertainty, that portal. But sometimes when you go through uncertainty, you find yourself clarity. He's got that team in a good spot. He's bringing his dynamic athleticism and really got that Tennessee Vol program right where they need to be, sitting at number 8. But look out, watching into LSU and Death Valley is never an easy task.
I agree. No matter how well the team is coming into, the only thing that's beneficial is it's a noon game. A night game at Death Valley is totally different. I'm not saying they're not going to be up for that game, but Tennessee got the lucky draw at being a noon game. What's your opinion? I think there's a 3:30 game. Utah at BYU. I think that's a neat matchup. Utah's laying 4.5. BYU's a scrappy team. What's your take on that, Zach?
I'm excited to watch this game. I'm specifically blocking out that part of my day to tune into this. There's not a lot of excitement coming out of the Pac-12 in recent years, but all intention should be on this game. Utah has rebuilt itself since the Urban Meyer era back in the early 2000s. But look out for BYU quarterback Jaren Hall. He's a bit of a dark horse Heisman candidate, but he has firmly supplanted his name as one of the most dynamic, agile quarterbacks in this year's QB draft class.
Nice. Another game that I like, I think it's going to be high explosive. It always has been for years. I think Oak State, number 9 right now in the rankings, is playing Texas Tech at Oak State. Oak State's given 9.5. Texas Tech's had a couple on the chin, kept it competitive. A lot of close scores, even though they came out with the L. Oak State hosting Texas Tech, laying 9.5. What's your opinion on that game?
Pure fireworks. Mike Leach and the Texas Tech Raiders will show up ready to play. The Big 12, it's always known for their offense. I'm curious who's actually going to play defense in this matchup. Spencer Sanders, quarterback for OK State, he's got quite an arm on him. He is literally the epitome of your prototypical gunslinger quarterback, but it helps to have those skill players around you to make that quarterback drive.
Nice. I think the line for me was a little much. I was leaning on maybe taking Texas Tech with the 9.5. But the more I look at it, Oak State has all the weapons, the capabilities to really go in and show the world on a big platform at home and win by 16 to maybe even 21 points. They're that fast, they're that disciplined, that good, and that accurate. The next game I was going to speak of is not so much from a betting standpoint or the numbers, But what took place over the summer with Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher, you've got number one now Alabama hosting Texas A&M Saturday evening. Alabama is laying, I think, 23.5 points. I think there's more to this game than just the teams going at it. I think there's a lot of personal issues and a lot of statements passed back and forth. And I believe, Nick Saban's got him right where he wants him. And I don't think he's going to let off the gas. I think Alabama's going to do everything they can to run the score up. What's your take on that game?
I agree with you. Nick Saban always has his teams ready to play. Good years, bad years, down years, great years. You know Alabama's going to show up. Nick Saban, a lot like Bill Belichick, which they are personal friends, they like to lay the hurting on their former assistants. They like to remind them who's really the real head coach.
Zach, so tell me right now, one of the quarterbacks in college that if the Heisman was coming up in the next few weeks, who do you think will have a seat there?
Absolutely. I got my money on a dark horse quarterback out of the Pacific Northwest. Washington's quarterback, Michael Penix Jr., he is lighting up the Pac-12 with over 1,700 yards passing. I think he's going to sneak his way into the Heisman conversation.
Nice. I agree with that. He's getting a lot of limelight now, even though that they're West Coast and over on the East Coast, those games are played at like 10, 11 o'clock at night. Next few weeks, I think more people will understand who he is and what he's capable of.
For sure.
Well, Zach, thank you very much for coming on today. Listeners, stay tuned. We have another special guest coming up, Andre Kendrick. Remember, tune in to win. If you're at a loss, watch the Sports Boss. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Betting Sports Better. I'm your host, the Sports Boss. What a great week last week for our members. We gave out 5 plays. We went 4-1. That was NFL and some college games mixed in on Friday. A lot of great in-game wagering happening, too. Today, we have a special guest, Mr. Andre Kendrick. He is here with me today. We're going to talk a little NFL. We're going to highlight a couple games. I think we're going to talk about Tennessee and Washington. We're going to talk about 49ers at Panthers. And we're going to also talk about Dallas at the Rams. So I'm going to go ahead and let him do a little talking and see what he took away with this weekend in the NFL games.
All right, the NFL has kicked off and we are live and we are in full effect. Through week 5, this is what I've gathered out of the NFL. The Baltimore Ravens, they cannot hold the lead. The defense has let them down for the past 2 weeks. Lamar Jackson and company has put up some good numbers, but the defense is just letting them down. So that's the most important thing and the thing that stood out to me the most throughout this season so far.
Nice. I did think the Ravens had that game against the Bills for about 2-second window, but you can't count Josh Allen out, especially after the way the game ended on Miami with the clock running out. The 49ers looked really good last night. The Monday night game, 49ers at home playing the Rams. The defense stood up. They showed up. This week going on the road to Panthers, I look for 49ers and Jimmy G to handle business one more time. What's your opinion on that, Dre?
I think this will be one of those games where a momentum game. San Francisco will be coming off a big win against LA, and then they'll get a little bit more mediocre team in Carolina. So I think they'll be able to go in, take care of business, and ride that momentum and just get them started out so they can have a good record going into the playoffs.
Nice. One of the games kind of close to us is Tennessee's coming into Washington, FedEx Field. Tennessee, Washington, kind of a boring game. Washington, Wentz hasn't really got much going on. What do you think about Tennessee going into Washington? That's 1 o'clock this Sunday.
I just think Tennessee is going to go in, slow the game down, pound them out with Derrick Henry, with some play action passes to kind of keep Washington off balance. I just don't think this Washington team is what we were expecting, and I think that their losing streak will continue. Nice.
What are one of the teams that stand out to you? What's one of the biggest surprises in the NFL? A team that's record, their playing ability on the field so far, what you've seen. What team stands out to you the most?
Well, I got a couple of teams. You got first the New York Giants. The New York Giants, they're playing a lot better ball with Saquon Barkley. I think that they may sneak up on some of those NFC East teams. And the other team is the division leading, if I'm not mistaken, Jacksonville Jaguars. I think they're going to put the pieces together. I think they may be 1 or 2 years away from getting everybody that they need to make a real playoff push.
Nice, nice. I agree with that. Jacksonville, Philly this past week was a great game. You know, a couple mistakes. I think the platform maybe got to Trevor Lawrence and some of the Jags. But, I mean, first 3 quarters, hard-fought game. I enjoyed that game. So, wrapping up here, we've got Dallas at the Rams. That's a game that I'm very interested in watching. Dallas's D is hot. The Rams just came off of basically getting their lunch handed to them last night by the 49ers. Dallas's D's really picking up speed. The backup quarterbacks got control of that team. They're believing in them. What's your take on the Dallas at Rams Sunday?
Well, I think, like you said, Dallas, they are red hot. Cooper Rush has actually come in and doing a phenomenal job, which is going to bear the question, if he continues to win, do we put Dak back in? On the flip side of it, with the Rams, they came out last night. I don't know. I think this is accurate. They didn't score a touchdown first time within 20-something years, a couple of years or something like that, and that's very uncharacteristic of McVay. So which team do we get? Do we get a team that goes back to the lab and go in and just come out and totally dominate, or do we get that team that's going to kind of struggle again against this next team?
I agree. Yeah, what was that? 3 field goals, no touchdowns. Just couldn't get in. 2 different times on the goal line. Remember, hit the subscribe button. Our members get the weekly picks. We're 10-4 for the season. We went 4-1 this past week. Hit the subscribe button. Take a look at why our members are enjoying it right now so far going into week 5. Remember, tune in to win. If you're at a loss, watch the Sports Boss.